What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlevich.
Welcome. I'm Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease, and today our show topic is Creating Yumminess with Body and Life with our amazing guest, Betsy McLoughlin. Let me tell you a little bit about the show. Would you enjoy creating a more enjoyable life? One that incorporates more fun, joy, and yum. So let's discuss some tips and hear how we can create more yumminess in our lives. And let me just introduce Betsy because she's amazing, amazing person, amazing facilitator. And her background includes success as a store owner, realtor, corporate manager, and administrator. So she draws upon her experience to empower others in their lives and businesses as certified facilitator of quite a few access consciousness programs, including Being You, Joy of Business, and I think more than that. Also co-author of 10 books and host of Imperfect Brilliance radio show on OM Times Radio. So, Betsy, let's talk a little bit about your topic. It's like yumminess. It's like, for me, it's like food and orgasmic life, but it's more than that. It's everything in life, right? So tell me more about your topic. How did you come up with that?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here, excited, and looking forward to this conversation. And yeah, so it actually, Creating Yumminess is actually the name of my website.
Hello? Okay. So I guess we lost Betsy for a little bit. Oh. Hello?
Hello?
That's it? Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, did you not hear me?
For about a second.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So when I was looking at what I wanted the website to be, what kept coming in was that I love this. I have this innate ability and desire to always create yumminess in everything that I do. In my house, with my friends, with everything that I enjoy doing. And so it kind of started there, and then looking at where else I could actually incorporate yumminess and yum, and as you said, the orgasmic beauty that life truly is. And I really started looking at all of the places where I wasn't doing that. And that's kind of how it started, and it's morphed into way, way, way more than I ever thought possible, and it's still growing and morphing, and I'm having so much fun exploring it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Love all of that. And you are from Maryland, correct? Do you still live in Maryland now?
I do. I live on the East Coast of the United States in Maryland, yes.
Cool. Tell us a little bit more about your background. I know you create a lot of yumminess, but what kind of was your life before you started Access, before you became radio host? Can you kind of speak a little bit, how was it different from what it is now? And was it different? Maybe it was kind of like progression of what is now. Betsy?
I'm sorry, you really broke up for me, so I did not hear your question.
Yeah. Betsy, can you maybe call on the phone, because I think the connection is a little bit not stable. So I'm going to talk a little bit about your background while you're calling in.
Yes. Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thought we could wait till the break, but anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Betsy more. She's been a co-author of 10 books that been out, and I think a couple of them are on the bestseller list. And her OM Times Radio, I was actually interviewed by Betsy with her amazing sense of humor, and it was so much fun. And let me tell you about my understanding of Yumminess, and then we'll hear what Betsy has to say when she calls in. With internet being so interesting, especially when we talk about Yumminess, how much of Yumminess we're refusing? Because it's not just food. Think of the moment when you are in nature, how yummy it is. Hi, Betsy, you're back.
I'm back. Hopefully I sound better now.
Much better. And we are not going to let you break up on us. Please, no.
Thank you. No. All right.
I actually totally forgot what I was asking for. It's like, seriously, when I'm in the show, it's the thought comes in, the thought comes out. So,
yes, I know.
There is no form and structure in my shows. So whatever you desire to talk about, you're welcome to just jump in and let's talk. So let's talk a little bit about your life before, and to me, with Access, it's like the life before Access and life after Access.
Yes, totally.
Is it the same for you or different?
Completely. It really is. And, you know, I've had an amazing life. I really have. And then I got to the point where I was just heavily depressed, and got to the point where I was thinking, if this is all there is in life, what the bleep is the point of living? And I was starting to have those thoughts, and maybe I should just end my life, and all of those kinds of thoughts. And it scared me that I was having that, and I was so like, but I don't see a way out. And I just got deeper and deeper in depression and anger and all kinds of things. And I punished myself and my body in all kinds of ways that, of course, just exacerbated what I was being and creating and believing that was my life. And that I was like on this hamster wheel of life, and I felt like every day was the same, and I couldn't get off this, you know, the merry-go-round, the hamster wheel, and really, truly, that's where I was. And I was in therapy, and I got tired of hearing myself say the same thing every week. I was like, I don't even know how the therapist is doing this, because I'm sick and tired of hearing it. And, you know, I had some relief, some results, and then I felt like I just was stuck and couldn't get any further. And with that, I realize now that I had made the demand and request, maybe not quite as eloquently, but saying, okay, please, you know, universe, what can I be here? Like, what could I change? Because this is not working. And from that, a friend of mine, actually, I was on the phone with her, and she was driving by a place and said, oh, there's this place that does Reiki classes. And my body kind of like lit into what she was saying. I was like, oh my God, I got to find out about that. So I called the woman and I went and had a session and really enjoyed how I felt. I'm like, okay, I want to learn about it. And from there, it started a journey of exploration and something different besides having people want to give me drugs and having people want to, which I did for a short time, but I did not like how it made me feel. And it's like, this is not really contributing to changing what I want to change. So I was so grateful that I had those awarenesses and found Reiki and became a Reiki master and was starting to really enjoy what it was contributing. And then I started meeting some new people, and one of the people that I met called me up one day and said, hey, I found this thing I think you might really like, and it was access bars. And I, being who I am, I went online and I looked for somebody near me because she was up in New York at the time, and found somebody who, again, I went and had a session because I didn't see any classes. So I went and had a session, and afterwards was like, whoa, what just happened? I had no idea. So if you guys are listening and don't know what I'm talking about, it's an energetic body process, gentle touches on the head. And, you know, it could be, I think my session was maybe an hour and a half. And so much changed and was relieved in that one time. I was in the parking lot going, my whole brain was going, oh my God, if everybody got their bars run, how different this world would be. And from that, it launched me into this whole exploration into wanting to find out more about it. For the first time in, I don't even know how long, I didn't have the constant badgering at myself about how awful I was and how wrong I was and how, you know, just all of those things that I was choosing. And from that, it started my exploration into the world of access consciousness. And I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. I should take a breath.
No.
Here.
That's the idea. That's the idea, because you sound so excited about the bars.
Yeah.
And I know, because I am too. When I start talking, I cannot stop. That's as simple as it gets.
Right.
So please continue. So you took your first bar session and you felt different.
Yeah.
And when was the first time? Like, I know you've been in Access for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind saying how long?
So sure. It's been about 7 and a half years for me, something like that. And
cool.
So I had my bar session, and then I was like, I got to learn. I really would like to teach other people how to do it, or I want to learn how to do it for myself. So I went and had a bars class. And then if you desire to be a facilitator of teaching other people how to do it, you need to take 3 classes with 3 different people. And so I did that. And just from there, my whole life started changing and becoming what I had lost along the way. And, you know, I had lost me. I had lost my joie de vivre, and through all of these amazing body processes and clearings and facilitation and classes, I have rediscovered me in this whole beautiful new way. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's time for our first break of the show. So you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we'll continue talking to our wonderful Betsy McLoughlin, and we'll continue talking about how much difference is when you actually have tools that can change your life. And we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. Canada 613-800-8736. Or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is creating yumminess with your body and life with our guest, Betsy McLoughlin. Before we went on the break, we were talking, Betsy, with you, how much your life became different from the moment you kind of like even had your session with bars and then took classes to become facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's a journey, because for me it's the same. It's been pretty much a lifelong journey to get here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about kind of like the tools when you started? Which one grabbed your attention and kind of started changing, other than the bars, of course, because bars is like a given. It's changing.
Yeah. Well, it's so true. And, when I first learned about it, I was like, you mean you keep doing it? Because it was just such a foreign concept to me and it's such a contribution, even now, all these years later, to get my bars run on a regular basis, and because it just releases so much out of your body, and kind of it's like this. Really, the best way that I like to explain it, it's like this magic wand, and it just like clears out the gunk in your head and your mind and your body. So that's a huge piece of it. And I get reminded when I haven't had my bars run for a while, and then when I get them run again, I'm like, oh, right, that's why I continue doing it. So that's like key.
Yeah.
That, and the body processes. And I know that you are a 3-day body process facilitator, and that's also just this huge smorgasbord of possibilities of all these different energetic processes that you can run on your body and other people's bodies that it's amazing. Our bodies are so amazing. And what our bodies hold and what they can release through these processes blows my mind. And I'm sure it does for you, and seeing as a facilitator,
Absolutely.
seeing the changes that they contribute to people's bodies.
Absolutely. And I love bars and body processes and symphony. Right now, people with the COVID, it's somewhat, I would say, difficult to get to the bodies. At least not as widely acceptable as it used to be. You have to wear a mask. There are certain rules and regulations about social isolation. But I love Access Consciousness because it has other tools that you can use without touching the bodies. And I know one of my favorites is Who Does It Belong To? Because a lot of things are not ours. And that blew my mind at the very first class. And it shifted so much. It was almost like I was different when I started using it. Do you remember what was like one of the tools? I know there is so many and I love all of them, but is there any particular tool that you can remember which changed some of the things so you can share with listeners to our podcast?
I love that. Well, I agree with you that the tool of Who Does It Belong To, I had never heard that before. And the idea that just because you have a thought, a feeling, an emotion, it doesn't necessarily mean it's yours. And that you're such a huge radio receptor and you just are constantly getting information. And so that was a huge game changer for me as well, to be like, wait a minute, what do you mean is this even mine, or am I just aware of somebody else? Like, what? Yeah. I had never heard that. And that definitely was one of them. The Access Consciousness clearing statement was another one, which I thought was the weirdest thing I had ever done, and I resisted against it. I'm like, I'm not saying those weird words that don't make any sense. And then I just was like,
tell me about that.
Right? Okay, well, I just won't say it, but I'll participate in the energy. Is what I did at first. I mean, I really fought against it. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe there is something to this, because I was seeing other people and hearing what they were saying. And I'm like, you asked for something different. This is definitely very different. And what do you have to lose is basically what I started asking myself. So I started, doing it and then, of course, being the perfectionist that I was at the time, I had to get the words correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can you remember that weird phrase, right and wrong, good and bad, puck and puck, all nine shorts, boys and beyond? I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know. And it makes no sense. And it's so funny. My sister called me one day and she said, the grammar's really bad. And I just started laughing. I said, yeah, I know. It's bad on purpose. Because it's designed to bypass your logical thinking mind. And I had spent so much time, if I could figure it out, if I could get it right, then, and then fill in the blank, and it wasn't working for me. So it's like, okay, if you're trying so hard and you're trying to force everything into this the way you think it's supposed to be, which, life doesn't really show up that way.
Exactly. And for people who are first time listening to us, you can go to the website, theclearingstatement.com, and there is a lot of explanation of what it means. It's actually a lot of meaning. Right and wrong, good and bad is everything you've decided right and wrong, or good and bad is in your life. and it's actually limitation. Pak and Pod is point of creation, point of destruction, and all 9 is 9 layers of stuff. So it actually has a meaning, even it sounds like gibberish. And I talk a lot, I talk a lot about the word abracadabra, because I compare that to the abracadabra. And a lot of people have no idea that abracadabra actually is Hebrew in Kabbalah.
Really? I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, it actually means I create as I speak.
I create as I speak?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, just like clearing statement, abracadabra was used by Kabbalists in the Middle Ages, and people didn't know what it meant. But it actually means magic.
Holy
that
moly.
Yeah, it's actually magical.
Wow.
We are magical. And that's why I love the topic that you brought today, the yumminess.
Yes.
And we are actually very close to our second break. So I'll probably take us a little bit earlier so we don't break in the middle of our conversation.
All right.
So you've been listening to Creating Abundance with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we'll talk about the magic we be, with our amazing guest, Betsy McLoughlin. And we will be right back. And thank you, Betsy. We'll be back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Magic and abundance are everywhere. What if you could tap into abundance and start creating your life with complete and total ease? Working with Dr. Helen Gitlevich will give you exactly that, total ease in creating abundance in your life. Dr. Gitlevich creates classes all over the world, both in person and online. She works with you to create abundance with your money, with your body, with your relationships, with all areas of your life with total ease. Connect with Dr. Helen Gitlevich at creatingabundancewithease.com. Her contribution in your world will be a noticeable gift in a very short period of time.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease, and today our show topic is Creating Yumminess with Your Body and Life with our guest Betsy McLoughlin. And before we went on the break, we were talking about magic and miracles and us and abracadabra. So let's talk about us being magic and how can we create yumminess using that magic.
Yes, and I'm still just loving the whole story about abracadabra. And with And I wonder, like, for everybody listening, how much magic have you actually already created in your life that you've never acknowledged?
Absolutely, yeah. That's an amazing question. I wonder. I know I didn't acknowledge a lot of magic I've created. So,
can you think of one thing to tell us that you have created that you've never acknowledged?
even going to medical school, when I was going, like when we immigrated and I went to college, I kind of like was thinking about medical school, but I didn't know if I could get in. Plus, being young, I didn't study much. So I actually put it out to the universe, calling it God at that time. I said, God, if you would like me to go to medical school, you make it happen. Pretty much like that. I did do some of the steps. I did like study a little bit, though most of the time I spent at the lunchroom talking to other people instead of studying. And yet, when I took my test, I ended up in the top 2% of the country, as well as not filling out applications. I messed up pretty much with every school that I applied to, because one, I didn't type. I wrote it out, and it was supposed to be typed. And the second one, I missed the deadline, and so on and so forth. And yet, I was still accepted to Rush Medical College with total ease, not doing by the book, and yet it was magical.
Wow.
And created a scholarship, created loans, which I paid only a couple of years ago, which was incredible. I already quit medicine. And yet I was still paying my student loans for another 10 years afterwards. How funny is that? Yeah. And Betsy, is there any magic you haven't acknowledged?
Yeah,
the table turned.
I know. Okay, what have I not acknowledged? Magic. Gosh. I definitely can downplay the contribution that I be to others, and in acknowledging it, it actually creates more. So that's, one, and I love that you acknowledged the magic you created for what you desire to choose, for your medical career. And so the desire, and it kind of always takes me aback, when somebody will call me or send me a message or something thanking me for whether it's a coaching session or a class or whatever it is. And I'm kind of like, oh gosh, because I love doing it so much. It brings me such joy. And so that acknowledgement piece, I wonder even, as I'm talking right now, like how much more in acknowledging the gift that we be, how much more that actually can expand that gift for ourselves.
I wonder. I don't know about you, but with me, a lot of times when people acknowledge me and grateful for me, a lot of times I kind of like look at that and I don't acknowledge me per se. To me, it's like the universe, God, divine energies that's moving through me. So a lot of times I agree with you. I don't acknowledge the gift of being that transmitter, should we say, or being the body that it goes through, and we're choosing it. Because you've chosen to become facilitator. You chose to do that magical work/play, because it's not a true play. You had to take so many classes to get to where you are right now. And I know that you took a lot of them for you, but would you acknowledge how much actual choices and creation you work through and brought forth right now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you acknowledged that?
Probably not very much. So thank you for that question. Yeah, no, and it is true, and there were definitely times along the way where I was like, oh, this is too much, this is too hard, I don't want to keep going, and yet I chose beyond that temporary point of view. And you're right, so to acknowledge the perseverance and the commitment and the strength that it takes to choose something that you've never chosen before, to leap into the unknown, right? Whatever it is, and to stop to acknowledge yourself for a moment, because how many people refuse to choose because of that fear of the unknown or not knowing, what's behind door number X, and so they don't choose it. So everywhere, where we actually do choose and we reach when we don't know what the freak is going to happen, that's actually quite a gift and a strength.
Exactly. And it's not always comfortable. Like people say, oh, if you're conscious, everything should be peachy. But it's not, is it?
Not at all.
No. And having the courage to keep putting one foot in front of the other, sometimes even baby steps, just going along. And yet, we talk about yumminess.
Yeah.
Because with everything that is created, at the end of the tunnel, there is that light, that joy, that fun, that ease and glory. So can you talk a little bit about the ease part? Because I know with yumminess, it's like tasty and great and wonderful. But life is not always that yummy.
Yeah.
But yet, with access tools, there is a possibility of ease, correct?
Well, yes, absolutely. And what I wanted to say is, the uncomfortable, what I have found is if you keep going, right, and even if you fall down or you take 10 steps back, but then you get up, you dust yourself off, and you keep going, on the other side of uncomfortable is this enormous beauty and gift and ease that you just mentioned that is it's almost indescribable, like putting it into words of what is there awaiting you. And so that is part of the creating yumminess that I have seen for myself, is that all of these things, the tools, the questions, the anything that you may need to, like if you have a point of view, you have to overcome it, or it's something difficult or whatever that is, and you keep going, the gifts, the rewards are all, for me, what has created this gorgeous yumminess that keeps expanding. And there's no limit and there's no end to the yumminess and the ease and the joy and the phenomenons that you can create in your life.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. And it's sometimes the uncomfortable is something that just we don't know, because unknown is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So it might not be unpleasant.
Right.
Because people think of uncomfortable as painful, but it doesn't have to be.
Correct.
So with all of that, let's say, where can people find you?
Well, my website, creatingyumminess.com. And I'm on Facebook, and I think I'm pretty easy to find. But thank you for asking. And, for just, again, I just keep hearing, let's all acknowledge the gift that we be,
Yeah.
And it's
Let's
interesting
acknowledge
that keeps coming in today. Yes.
And I think it's one of the gifts that we can give ourselves and to others. If we acknowledge that gift, then it keeps growing.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, let's take a few seconds, close our eyes, and just look over our life, this lifetime or many lifetimes, and bring the energy of everything that you've been as a gift, that you received as a gift, that you been contribution to others, that you've been contribution to yourself, and others been a contribution to you. And let's acknowledge that. Let's actually bring that energy into our body and expand that throughout the whole universe. It's almost like the energy pool, but bring that into your body, but also through your body, and allow everything to expand.
Beautiful.
Cool. I love that. So what if we kind of like be that? Because I know you've been gift to so many people, including myself. Because I remember you in a lot of classes, because we've taken a lot of classes together and listened to some of your shows, and it's such a gift because everything you asked, everything you kind of like on telecalls or in the classes, it was shifting things.
Yes.
Any kind of like anything you can think right now. I know we've talked about quite a few access tools, but anything that comes to mind right now that people who are listening right now who might not even have access, who never heard of bars, any tools they can use on a daily basis that can help them into kind of like their daily routine that will start shifting and changing and create more ease and more yumminess in their lives.
Totally. So even on top of what we've already talked about with, the acknowledgement piece, there's also gratitude, and it's gratitude for others as well as yourself and everything you've created, including the things that you might think are the terrible things. And what if you could be grateful for all of it, and everything you've created has led you to where you are right now? And so when you're in a space of gratitude, there is no room for judgment. And judgment is one of the biggest things that I have shifted in my life that has made room to create more yumminess. So, because when I'm judging, and I still do it, but I have all these amazing tools now to get myself out of it if I choose to. Because what I have seen is when I'm judging, I'm limiting. I'm limiting myself. I'm limiting my possibilities. I'm limiting my choices. I'm limiting my relationships. It just limits so much for me. So what would I like to choose? And that's one question I love to ask you guys. What would I like to choose here?
Yeah, I love that.
Right? Yeah.
I love that. So this is time for our last and third and final break of the show. We have just a little bit left. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Inspired Choices Network, with our guest, Betsy McLoughlin. And we'll return. We'll continue to discuss more about yumminess and tools of access. And we'll be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. And for people who are joining us now, it's our final stretch of the show, last 10 minutes. And I am Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today we have a guest, amazing Betsy McLoughlin, with Creating Yumminess with Your Body and Life. And you can find Betsy on the social media. And the links are, all of them, on Linktree, Betsy McLoughlin. And it will be posted, all the links, the website, the email, and the Linktrees will be posted in the podcast page. And you can listen and recording for all of them on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube. And you can go to my YouTube channel, Creating Abundance with Ease, where there would be a playlist of all the podcasts I've done and all the interviews I've done. Also, if you'd like to join Betsy classes around the world, you can find those on her website. And if you'd like to join me to some classes, I am facilitating classes around the world. Well, not live classes at this moment, though. I do live classes at home in Chicago. And then in the United States, I'm doing a 3-day body class coming up this weekend. And in Dallas at the end of the month, and in Miami in the middle of October. And bodies love to be touched, so join me. And Betsy, what are your classes that you're facilitating in the future?
That's awesome. I'm excited for you that you're, right now you can really, it's very limited travel, but you can do the United States. So that's awesome. And some places are starting to open up around the world. So what else is possible? So for me, I've definitely got some local things going on, and I too can travel, throughout the United States and some other places. So I'm always open for that, and I've got quite a few online things just about ready to launch. So I'm actually doing a 21-day daily thing for creating yumminess with your body. And I've got a couple other things almost ready to launch. So those will all be on my website.
That's wonderful. I cannot imagine. 21 days with yumminess. Ooh. Yeah. Tell me more.
Well, I'm going to do Facebook Lives every day and kind of choose a topic and talk about it for the day. And I've got graphics, which I love to create. So I've kind of got graphics going along with it. And then I'm going to do a Zoom call at the end of the 21 days and to have facilitation going in the Facebook group through those 21 days and see what else we can create with our bodies and how much more yum we can create. So I'm excited.
Me too. It's so cool. And kind of like with everything we've talked about, I know how much my life changed, your life changed with access.
Yeah.
Or with like I've been in Access about 8.5 years. You've been 7.5. How would you see yourself, let's say, in 5 years from now?
Wow, what a great question. One of the great questions that I love asking is like, if I choose this, what will my life look like in a year, 5 years, 10 years? And you just kind of tap into the energy of it. So as you're asking me that question, like, what will my life look like in 5 years? And it's just kind of this energy of, and beyond that, it's kind of hard to put into words what it'll be. And I just get it's exciting and expansive. And if you guys remember at the beginning of the program, I was talking about, my depression and I didn't want to be here anymore. And none of that is in that answer for, what my life will look like in 5 years from now. And just like fun and joyful, and how much more yummy can it be than it is right now? And I can't wait to find out.
Exactly. Because it's not defined. And I love that it's not defined. Because with a lot of people, you ask them what your life will be in 5 years, they would, I will have a house, I'll have $1 million. And yet it's all concrete and solid. But with that expansiveness that at least I perceive, maybe some of our listeners will perceive as well, it's kind of like opening up so much more. And I love what you said, because we do use that question, what my life will be in 5 years and 10 years, and sometimes even 500 years. Because we can perceive, or actually like solidify what our life will be in 5 years. But when we go into 500 years, you cannot solidify that. So grateful for the show.
Right.
And we have a couple of minutes left in the show. Any words of wisdom to our listeners in our last 2 minutes before the music starts and we get kicked out from the show?
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me on. And, if you would take a few minutes and actually ask yourself, what brings you joy? Is it looking at a pretty flower? Is it a child's laugh? Is it petting a dog or a cat, or going for a walk? Like all of those things that contribute to you, that bring you joy, and how much more of those can you bring into your life and your living, and how can that all contribute to everything that you desire to create?
Wow. Love that. Thank you so much. And just want to remind people before we break, till next week, we are not going away forever. Next week, we'll have a show with the name, What Judgments Can You Use to Make More Money? Which is very concrete. But who knows where we will go with that topic. And because we talked about, I know, and it will be the same time, same place. Actually, it might be a little different, because I think next week we might go video live. We're just trying it and doing a lot of technical adjustment and learning on how to do video live. So you might actually see me in person next time.
Oh, how fun.
I know. And what else is possible right now? What else can we create? And so grateful. Thank you so much. And we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks so
Till
much,
next
Helen.
week. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating magic in your life and your body.